Okay, I've got a backup of my database here. Go back to the desktop. And I'm going to copy that over just because I want to move it to another destination. So I'm going to take this, copy it, paste it back in place, because I don't want to destroy my original backup, but I do want to make some changes on there. So I'm going to simulate as if I ended up moving to, I don't know, a different domain name or a different host. So let me do that by changing my path. I'm going to say localhost / new domain / final, something like that. So here's what I want to do. I want my new site to be at a different location. I want it to be at localhost / call it new domain / final. So how do I go about doing that? That's going to be a little bit trickier. So first of all, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and take my file, not that one, hold on. It's like I lost the one that I was at before. So I'm at my desktop. Here I made a copy of it. And I want this one to be, instead of webd169 blog, to be new domain - final. All right, so it's not going to be blog anymore, it's going to be final. So let me go ahead and change that to final as the folder name. The information on the inside might be different too, especially this WP config. I'm going to have to try to switch this around. And I may have to point it to a different database. So what do I do there? Let me check this README file, and let me go ahead and make some changes here. So let's say instead of the test database, my database is going to be on localhost, and it's going to be in dev DB. Username and password might be the same. My table prefix, call it FNL _. So this is similar to if I'm going to move to a new web host and it has a new set of rules for my new location. So how am I going to get all that stuff in there? Because they're going to give me a new database to work with. So this one probably won't be valid anymore, so I'll delete that off. So now my README file is a little bit different. So first of all, how do I end up getting my website file, which is called final, to my new domain / final? So I'm on htdocs. And from there, I had to have a folder called new domain. So I'm going to create that. Inside of there, I want my file called final. So drag that over. Okay, so now it's in the right location, and this is the same thing as if I did a FTP up to the remote server, for example. Inside of this file, though, here's my WP config. Remember, this is what's telling me where my database is and how to access it and the table prefix. So if I end up opening this up, I'll probably see something, that shows the old location, and I need to update it for the new server location. So instead of the database name being test, it's going to be devdb, that newer database. Username and password, in this case, it's the same, but you'd end up changing it here as well if you needed to. Table prefix, I said, was FNL for final. And I'll save that. And let me just verify that I don't have that table in this devdb over here or not. Let's see. I have one called final, but not one called FNL. Okay, good, good. So here's the database that it's pointing to, the new database, and I'm trying to go ahead and insert all those new tables over here. So in order to do that, I'm going to go back over to my file over here. And since I end up changing that wp config file, see, did I do that already? Hold on. Did I save that? Yeah, I saved it. So now if I try to go here, what do you think will happen? I'm pointing to a different database. There's some tables in there, but the prefix is different. It's going to do the same thing we did last time. It's got the database, it's got access to it. Since it doesn't see those tables with that prefix, it's thinking you're going to do a new installation. When I hit return, it ends up prompting me here again. But this time I do have the data. So how do I get that data back? I've got a few more steps that I got to do, which is a little bit trickier. Remember this file over here that showed me the test database with SQL in it? I'm going to open that up. I'll probably open it in Dreamweaver because it's easier for me to view all that data this way. If it'll let me, uh-oh. There it goes. Now, one part that's going to be kind of tough is this WP underscore now has to be replaced with FNL underscore. So I want to see how many instances there are of that. And normally you'll kind of go one by one if you're going to make some changes because you don't want to damage anything that's in here. For example, over here, WP inactive widgets. I may not want to change that one, nor that one. I only want to change the table. So I have to be kind of careful that I'm only changing items that are related to the table itself. So this is going to be a little bit tougher, but let me see if I can end up working this through. Because it was WP underscore, it's kind of a unique prefix, I'm going to have to go kind of one by one and make this change. I made it a little tougher than I wanted to, but I'm going to search for WP underscore, and I'm going to replace it with FNL underscore. So replace that one and that one. That table is fine. That table's fine. That table's fine. That one's fine. Now, this one here is actually data that's on the inside, and I don't want to touch this just yet. So I'm going to say just find next. Same as this. It's data, data. These aren't related to the table prefixes. This is something that's specific to WordPress. This one, WP options, is that one I do want to change. So I'm going to say replace. It's hard to read, I know. I'm not giving you a good example because you're having a tough time probably seeing what's data and what's not. This one, I'm going to say find next, find next. Insert into, I want to change that. So I'll say replace, replace, replace. This one, I'm going to say find next, find next, find next. another insert into. Yes, I want to replace that one. Replace, 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 replace. This one's data again, so I'm going to go next. This one's a table. I'll replace, 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 replace. So far, so good. Data again, so I'll go next, 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 next. Replace, 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 replace. Normally it's not this difficult, but I kind of made it tough because I changed the table prefix. Normally you're going to keep the same table prefix and you won't have to do this step at all. Okay. All right. I had changed 129 items, found a bunch of places to replace it. So I'll save that for now. Normally, you won't have to do that step because, like I said, if it's a WP underscore on the first one, you're going to keep WP underscore in the next one. Now, the part that you're going to have to do, which is probably the toughest one you'll have to deal with, is where it goes to options. Where is that? Where it talks about your site URL. If I end up looking at this whole thing over here, this is telling me where I'm trying to go to. But I changed that. I'm on a new server right now. So this is now going to look like new domain final. So I have to put in, and I recommend keeping the HTTP in front and everything else like that, because if I ended up just saying everywhere it says, let's say blog, and replace it, I might run across the same problem I did with the prefix. So I want to go one by one and make these replacements. So I'm going to replace that one, that one. It found the next instance. This one's data, but this time I do want to change it because it's giving me the path to where my posts are. So I'll say replace, place, and I'll just trust this one. I think since I put in the HTTP in front, I'm going to say replace all. So it went through my entire set of content and replaced it with the new destination. Just to test things out in case there was a secure one, there might be an HTTPS version. See if there's anything there. There's no secure one. And then I'll save it. All right, so I had to do quite a bit of massaging to that SQL file so that when I restore it back to the new location, it'll work. Okay, so here's my file, my modified one. Now I can end up restoring it over to my database. As I mentioned before, I'm going to my dev DB database, and then I'm going to go to import. I'm going to find that file. It's not in localhost webd blog, it's actually in new domain final. This is the one I want. And I'll say go. If I did everything right, I got a success on here. And if I look at my database now, I should have a whole set of tables with FNL as a prefix. Now I'll go back to my site and cross my fingers that I did everything right. And now I've got my domain back, but at a totally different location. I'll go to WP admin, see if I could log in. So now I am, oops. Wow, didn't quite get to my site the way I wanted to. Must have missed a step in between with the prefixes. So I'm kind of locked out of my site. That part's pretty bad. I think it was because I tried to get fancy and go with the prefixes, and I may not have changed some of the prefixes that I was supposed to that had the FNL underscore on there. Take a look at that file again. So let me look at WP underscore one more time, do a find all, and let's see if there was something I was supposed to change that I didn't change. So under these WP underscore user roles, it might have been something I should have switched with the prefixes. Don't think these should have been changed. This one's more old data that's coming up. Tell you what I'll do. I'm going to try and see if I'm supposed to change these or not. I don't think so. I think I made it harder on myself. I know what I'll do. I'm going to change the FNL prefix back to WP. Change that for all of them. And let me save it just as another backup. So I'll say save as. I'll try to restore that back. Okay, now I'm going to try to import this. Those tables already exist. What do you think will happen? It's going to give me an error because it found that those tables already exist. So what I need to do is I need to remove this old WP one. So I'm going to go grab all those files. I only want the ones with the WP underscore in front. Normally I won't do this because this is some other data, but I'm just trying to get this so that we can get it to work. And I'll drop all those. So now I don't have the WP underscore ones. I'll do an import, same file. Let me run it. Okay, so now I've got my WP underscore files. They look right. All right. Now, do you remember this WP config? What database is it pointing to right now? Or it's pointing to the right database, but what's the table prefix on this one? It's that FNL underscore, right? So I have to fix that. I have to make sure it points to the WP underscore one again. Okay, let's see if I fixed my problem or not. Things back there. Can I do this WP-admin? Can it take me there? Great. Now I can do admin admin, and I'm in. This was a tough one. It was a roundabout way to show you what some problems you run into, but I wanted to show you what happens when you try to migrate to a new environment. If you use something other than WP underscore as your table prefix, I think it'll be a lot easier for you because you're not using a prefix that's similar to some of the WordPress functions. But in this case, I had some trouble because I ended up having to edit just certain pieces, and I had to try to modify the prefix for the tables, and it didn't work. So anyway, at least I'm back in business with my old table prefixes. Any questions on what I covered? I know I kind of covered some kind of crazy stuff here, but any questions? So Norman's saying it would seem that the best practice would be to always use a different prefix other than WP underscore. That way, any WP underscore found in this situation would be data and not a table reference. Good to know. Yes, I agree. Yes, definitely. All right, any other questions? All right, well, that's all I have for you this week, but I hope it was, maybe another one. When do you usually grade assignments? I usually wait till everybody has turned all the information in. Because I extended the deadline, I'm going to try to wait till everybody turns those items in so I can grade them one by one. It's going to take me some time. But again, I try to wait until after the break. But if you do it early, maybe I can get some grading in a little bit earlier. I'm going to be out of town next week, so it's going to be kind of rough for me to try to get to the material. I would give it about, give me about after the first week in April by the time I finally grade those midterms completely. Because I'm giving everybody until Monday, the April 2nd, and if anybody's a straggler, then it might take me some time to go ahead and grade the rest of them. So all of them should be complete by the end of that week.
So it doesn't matter if you turn it in early because you're not going to look at it, right? I already did. But...
Yeah, well, if you turn it in early, I'm giving you the opportunity to go ahead and resubmit if you end up making some changes. But if you want it graded early, let me know. I'll see if I can end up squeezing some time in to make sure I can get you the material. I want to avoid like somebody resubmitting it like 5 times and I'm grading the same thing 5 times. You need it sooner? Is that why?
No, I don't need it. I just said like you referring like, hey, submit an answer, you can have time to make changes. So if you're not grading it, the other person doesn't know they made a mistake. So really, them rushing it, putting it in won't make a difference.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, it's more of getting something in place so that you've got something to turn in. And I usually give an extra backup time because some people, they end up waiting until the very, very last minute, and then they didn't have enough time to even submit it once. That's what I'm trying to avoid. So I want, even though somebody's got partial progress in place, I'd like to give them the opportunity to submit. And if they make improvements during the week, they could improve on it and submit later. I have a lot of students that wait till the very, very last minute and say, I only got one shot at turning this in. And sometimes they miss the deadline.
I thought you were saying submit it and you will look at it, and if somebody missed something, you will let them know and they will make corrections.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, that wasn't the intention.
Okay.
It was more to prevent somebody turning in anything late.
I see.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. So if you haven't signed in to the chat room, please do so now. Other than that, I'll catch you guys, wow, in about 2 weeks, really. Or if I'll see you online in the discussion board if you have some questions. Have a great spring break. That's next week. There's no classes next week.